My story begins on a very cold day in the winter of 1991. I lived in Richard Island Projects. Richard Island Projects, North Philly. I lived in Richard Island Projects when it was the projects. Now it's manicured lawns and cars and driveways, and it's public housing. I lived in Richard Island when it was the projects, and I went to a high school called Bodine at 4th and George. So, this is one of the coldest days of the winter, like the hawk is out. And you know how you try to be fly back in the day. This is 1991. I thought I was real fly. I had red K-Swiss. I had hammer pants. I was fly. But on this day, it was too cold for cute. So the little yellow puff that I normally wore, couldn't rock the yellow puff. But the only problem is that my only other coat, I kind of like jacked it up in a little project accident and pushed the fur against a light bulb. So I was a little bit too vain to be rocking a triple fat goose to Bodine all jacked up. So I didn't wear it for about a year, but the hawk on that day called for the triple fat goose, right? So I put on my goose and I'm rocking, I'm walking the bus. This is back when we had Walkman before the iPads and all, the little yellow ones. So I got my MC Light, my Big Daddy Kane, I'm rocking. It's 19 degrees, it's freezing, I'm hawking in my goose, the goose to my ankle goose. It was the trench. It was the trench, like self-destruction video trench. To all the young bucks, Google it, self-destruction, D-Nice. So I get to school, I get to Bodine, I go to my locker, I put my triple fat goose in the locker, go to my first class. Everything's going well. Mr. LaRocca, the vice principal, comes and he says, listen, I need to take you out of class. What's up, Mr. LaRocca? Your godfather is here. He says it's an emergency involving your godmother. You need to come right now, get your stuff, and you're gonna have an early dismissal, right? So I grab the goose, grab my book bag, I come down to the first floor and I see him and I say, Snells, we call him Snells. What's up? What's going on? Like, what's going on with me, Francis? Come on, you gotta go. Come on, we gotta go. It's an emergency. We walk out of the school and we go to the car, which is parked right in front of the principal's window. So I'm looking up and see Mr. LaRocca is still checking us out, right? I get in the car and I say, what's the problem? You don't never wear that triple fat goose. It's hawking. I wore the goose. I know I normally wear the yellow puff. I wore the goose. What's up? So he grabs my sleeve and he pulls the coat off, pulls me out of it that way, at which time he pulls open the inside of the coat and it is totally and completely lined with cocaine. From collar of the goose all the way down to the bottom of the goose on both sides. When I tell you, like, my heart stopped because I'm just like, yo, what if this came out when I was stuffing it in my locker? And to take y'all back, I lived in what they call now, and they glamorize it and glorify it, and they call it a trap house. And they make songs about it and make it seem like it was fly. It was nothing fly about it. That was my reality. My godfather was a drug dealer, and his friends were drug dealers. They used the kitchen table where I made turkey and cheese sandwiches to package drugs. So because I didn't wear the coat in a year, they basically used my coat to stash the drugs. They wasn't thinking about me or the goose. So now I'm sitting in this car, I'm furious because he was not the type of person who would have taken the rap for me had I got busted in school with all of this cocaine, right? And he says, you all right now? I bought your yellow coat, grab you can go back in the building. I said, dude, Mr. LaRocca is in the window right now. He's looking, I'm not getting out this car. Because what emergency did we resolve in 30 seconds? So I got out the car, as cold as it was, I remember being furious, like lava heat. And I got out, I slammed the door, I put my yellow puff on, I got my book bag, and I just start walking back to the projects. I was furious, and the epiphany that day was like, yo, dude, like you got all of these book smarts, and you get A's and B's, and you know how to talk and what to do, but you're really not paying attention. You're not paying attention. This situation that you're in is serious. This is a serious situation. Not long after that, we were raided. He wasn't there that day, his partner was. And I remember, because I did run track, I was out. I ran down the hall in my bedroom, slammed the door, the ironing board fell, and I remember the cop like trying to get through the door, and he was talking to me through the door. Of course, I'm paralyzed with fear, and I'm like, listen, I can't move because you're going to shoot me. He said, don't worry, bro, I know who you are. We've been watching this apartment for a long time. You come and go every day to school. You ain't hustling. I just need you to get out that closet. So not long after that, I made a life decision. I transferred to Overbrook High School, mighty, mighty Overbrook, the home of the Panthers, because I had been a runner since 8 years old. And I said, you know what? I have to get back to that because this drug life, this trap life is not for me. I want to increase my chances of getting out of these Richard Allen projects and making it. So I said, maybe if I run fast enough, I'll get an athletic scholarship. And when I transferred to Overbrook, I was literally running for my life, putting those miles in, running the hills, doing the workouts, doing the stairs to try to get out. But what happened, young bucks, is in the course of doing that, all of the time management skills and all of that kind of stuff that comes along with being a student athlete, I was able to earn an academic scholarship, a full scholarship to Penn State. So my letter came to Penn State saying that you have a full, to the, Project Mailroom, saying that you have a full scholarship. And even then, with all I had been through and everything I was like pushing to do, it was like, yo, something has to give. I still have to figure out, I'm in this situation, I gotta think ahead of myself. So what I do is I sneak backstage. I snuck backstage to a rap concert in Valley Forge Music Fair. How many people remember Valley Forge Music Fair? So check it. Snuck backstage, favorite rap group, Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper. Right in there, we Salt and Pepper. Queens of Rap, my City Blue shirt. So what I discovered in that moment of being backstage and seeing reporters and journalists having access to them and talking to them and writing stories, I said, wow, I like to write. I'm kind of obsessed with celebrity culture. And the ironic thing is that up until the moment I met them, my life goal was to dance for Hammer or Salt and Pepper. That was my goal. That was my get out of project goal. But when I met them, I said, I don't want to dance for y'all. I want to do that. So as a result, I went to my counselor at Overbrook and said, how can I become a journalist? How can I make this happen? She put me in a program called Urban Journalism Workshop that was taught by reporters at the Philadelphia Daily News. So at 17 years old, I'm in this workshop. After that, they have a program called Fresh Ink where we wrote every week. Every Thursday, we had an article. So I was a published journalist in 12th grade, right? Living in the projects. Coming from the projects to the Daily News, writing, the first person to write about Nas, if you check me, I know you know Laia. And the thing about it is that I'm just like, yo, I'm really making this happen, even though I didn't know a journalist. Before this started, I had great mentors like Joe Blake. This man took me in and he said, you're gonna do it, you're gonna make it happen. He ripped up essays when I thought I was all of that, that's garbage, ripped it up. And it helped me because all of those essays I wrote for college, got the scholarship. When I graduated Penn State, I had an internship at the Daily News. I was the only intern they kept in the history of the newspaper. Immediately following my internship. So I was hired, 22 years old, running around the streets covering homicides, murder, entertainment, trials, like crazy, crazy stuff. And I'm just like, yo, I was just in Richard Allen like 5 minutes ago. And now I'm running to these scenes. And one of the things that I always take with me is like, I learned a lot from my mentors. I learned a lot from them that, it's not about just academic stuff. It's not about what you're going to accomplish on paper. What kind of person are you going to be? My mentor, Joe Blake, he was a great father. He was a role model. My first track coach, Mr. Hubbard, was a great role model to me. They were father figures to me. And they said, whatever you do, all of that kind of stuff can fade away. Jobs can change. But you want to be a good person. You want to be a decent person, and you don't want to be left hanging, or you don't want to leave the people that come behind you hanging the way you were. So with even all of that, with getting a scholarship to Penn State, getting a job at the Daily News, I've written 4 books, even with all of those accomplishments. You know what I count as my biggest accomplishment? My biggest accomplishment is this right here. Already. Thank you very much for having me.